All right. Well, welcome back everyone to Code Zoo. Today I am again joined by Keenan.
Oh,
And
hello.
yep, and today we will be talking about William Erastus Upjohn, who is a famous figure here in Kalamazoo and has done a lot for the community. And his story and share a little bit more about why he's so important. So I'll begin. William Upjohn was born and grew up on a farm near Richland, Michigan, which is about 15 minutes from Kalamazoo. I had to pull up Google Maps for this. And he was, one of 12 children of a Dr. Uriah Upjohn, who was actually a country doctor who practiced medicine in the Kalamazoo area for 52 years. And so, being influenced by his father, and also following in the footsteps of his siblings, he was one of four siblings from the Upjohn family that later on became doctors. He received his MD from Ann Arbor, and immediately after, he practiced medicine for 10 years in Hastings, which is also about a half hour, within a half hour of Kalamazoo. And William Upjohn, really today across medicine, is widely known for developing something called the friable pill. So I'll let Keenan now talk a little bit about why this was that significant.
Yeah, definitely. Um, William Updike got his start with that friable pill, but growing up here in Kalamazoo, his legacy is everywhere. It's on every building. It's his reach is in like everything that we do, our workplace, our interactions with other people, the doctors. It's everywhere. So. Um, we could be here for like 2 weeks talking about everything he's done and where he is now, where his legacy lasts now. So yeah, I'll just start here with the friable pill. So um, in a time of the late 1800s, the way people took medicine was either with liquid form medication or like a rock solid pill. And so with that very, very firm pill, it was very questionable as to whether these patients were going to get any benefit from the medication they were taking. And a lot of the liquid formulations, they didn't taste good. And, you think about who was getting sick, kids were getting sick too. And it would be very tough to get them to take medication,
Hmm.
the sour tasting liquid medication. So, um, some by some stroke of genius, William Upjohn has decided that he wanted to try to create a more digestible pill. Um, and so, um, what he did was test over and over and over again different formulations for a pill that could be crushed with the finger, which implied that it would be certainly more digestible than the rock solid pill that was currently out there, and easier to swallow than the bitter tasting medication, liquid medication. So he worked hard at this, and this was really where his company's legacy got its beginnings. But with every hero story, you have to have a struggle, right? So one of the Upjohn family members later down the lineage, she wrote a memoir of her family's life, and her name's Martha Parfett, which we'll talk about a little bit later. She was one of the granddaughters of William Upjohn, and she said when he was a young doctor who was struggling to start his own pharmaceutical company, his wife she wrote of living in Hastings and having trouble feeding the kids because uh, his pursuit as a doctor and as an entrepreneur, they weren't bringing enough money to support the family. So now we look at the Upjohns and how the family and the legacy is worth billions and billions of dollars, but just the mental image of not being able to feed your own children because you're working so hard and not getting very far is kind of a testament to his perseverance, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so he's in his attic in his home. I didn't mention that he's literally in his own home in the attic, trying to make these pills friable and easy to digest. And what he did was use a pan, like a baking pan. And once he finally found a formulation that was friable enough that he was happy with, he knew that it was a genius idea and wanted to send it out to doctors around town so that they could give better medications to their patients. And so what he did was to prove that his pill was superior and more friable. He had the pills, the rock solid pills that were the standard at the time, on a board next to his own pill, and he told the doctors. He sent them to like thousands and thousands of doctors' offices, and he told the doctors try and crush each one, and he told him to use a hammer, but you could also use your thumb apparently to crush his own friable pill. And obviously it was an immediate success because you could see the difference and imply the difference in digestibility. And so that was ended up being his trademark, was being able to crush that pill with your thumb.
Yep. And so if you go back and Google images of the Upjohn company, you'll see this thumb, pressing down on this pill, and that came to symbolize his success and his earliest endeavor. And I just want to take a moment right now to relate this back to our last episode about William Bovey, and how we see kind of a difference here where William Bovey was consumed by his ideas and his inventions, but he didn't necessarily demonstrate that business acumen that or even that wanting to promote his product in the same way that William Upjohn did, where his genius marketing strategy led to this friable pill being adopted by the medical community rather quickly um, during the late 1800s. And so we see a difference here. Not saying which one is better, but just that I think it's it's interesting what you can do with your ideas when you combine them uh, with some business acumen.
I was gonna say
Um,
that's a tough comparison because uh, William Bowie, didn't he sell his patent for like $1 because
he
he
did,
wanted
yeah.
the greater public to benefit? And so, no matter who you are, whatever happens after that, you're just a terrible person because you didn't sell your patent for you somehow benefited, unlike Bowie, right?
Right, right, exactly. When the standard is selling your patent for $1, like, it's very easy to fail.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. And so, now we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that came after, William Upjohn's wild success with this friable pill. For one thing, William Upjohn actually really liked to spend time with family, and so he built a summer home for him and his family called Brook Lodge. And on this compound, he actually loved growing peonies, which was something that he was widely known for, not only nationally but internationally. People would visit from Japan just to see these flowers
Hmm.
that he grew. So, um, yeah, he interestingly he might have actually been more well known for his peonies than his friable pill. Um,
So you're saying while his family was struggling for food, he was having visitors from Japan go and observe his peonies.
oh no, this was much later. So,
Okay. I'm like, what? Come on, man.
yes, this is not one of those let them eat cake scenarios.
Okay.
Um, Another interesting fact is Upjohn actually owned Kalamazoo's first car. So I wonder if he bought that from Henry Ford over in Detroit.
Oh,
That would have been interesting.
yeah.
Um, Sorry, I did not look that up. But and afterwards, he also had quite the legacy, which we will share Now, with you all, I will let Keenan share first about how he transformed Kalamazoo's form of government.
Yeah, so as he as he's becoming such a prominent figure and his the company Upjohn is really growing, his influence also grows. And this is early 20th century, late 1800s time where Kalamazoo is still a very small town. It's trying to be progressive. I think Upjohn is a major player in its ability to grow and be progressive.
Hmm.
Um, but his influence meant also that he had a say in how the community of Kalamazoo grew as well. And so what he did, as what he felt part of his civic duty was to help Kalamazoo um, actually become the third city in the United States to develop a commission manager form of government. And so um, the reason he was motivated to do this was because um, in the local Kalamazoo community there tended to be apparently some corruption and insider works, um, and there wasn't a lot of unity or sets of checks and balances. The government was kind of loosely organized, and so by creating this form of government, the commission manager, it kind of increased the amount of accountability for the local government within itself. And so, following this development, um, William Upjohn was elected mayor of the town. And so the other interesting fact is that it's actually the most popular form of local government in America. So the fact that one, he pushed for Kalamazoo to become the third ever city to do this. Two, that it is now the most popular form of local government. And three, that it worked so well he became the mayor of the town. I think it speaks more to him than anything else, and his, I don't know, his forward thinking about all of this, which is really an interesting kind of inspiring thing, if you ask me.
It is, yeah. And, he not only had influence on local government, but Upjohn was also president of the Kalamazoo Hospital Association in 1903, and he had the vision to, help establish the funding, help establish the groundwork for building Bronson Hospital, which Keenan and I now have the pleasure of rotating through as medical students and learning at. It's one of the two teaching hospitals in Kalamazoo, Borges being the other. And so it's a little bit of our connection to Upjohn, and we have to thank him for having that vision.
Yeah.
Um, something else that also speaks to his compassion as a boss. Back in the 1930s and 40s, employees used to work regularly 60, 70-hour work weeks. Was pretty standard across America. And Upjohn was one of the first employers in the Kalamazoo community to really think about whether this was a healthy amount of work for his employees, or whether his employees deserved to spend more time at home with family. And so he actually was the first employer to cut work hours to a 40-hour work week. And he did this 7 years before Congress made this a standard, and while keeping their salaries the same. And so, in effect, Upjohn really pioneered this model of work-life balance in Kalamazoo. And from what I've read online, it seemed like because he made that decision, other employers in the Kalamazoo area were forced to do the same in order to keep talent at their companies. And so he really improved the working circumstances and the lives of people in Kalamazoo because of
That's
his
so cool.
generosity. Yeah.
it seems like such a risk, right, to decrease hours as a company, but they continue to grow. Like they didn't stop their growth, and they only like were looked positively, except probably by other large corporations who were like, how dare they make us all look bad.
Right. I imagine his competitors were just, very frustrated and probably fainting at the thought of giving workers so much leisure time. But Upjohn played his hand. We want to end here with two more things. One was to share that William Upjohn was actually recognized by Kalamazoo as Kalamazoo's first citizen and also Kalamazoo's person of the century. And really, this stemmed from two things. One was a recognition of his compassion for the people of Kalamazoo and his community, despite his wealth, always thinking about others and trying to improve the lives of others. And second was in his recognition that people deserve gainful employment. He really believed that meaningful work provided people with dignity and people with a strong sense of self. And so what Upjohn did in his remaining days was he established the Upjohn Institute of Unemployment Research because he spent the last years of his lives during the Great Depression, and he saw a lot of workers in Kalamazoo who were in the farming industries and other industries greatly impacted by the Great Depression. He saw a lot of the struggle and the pain that that his fellow community members went through, and so he established this institute to try to solve issues then in his final days. But moving forward, the institute actually, I read this the other day that they actually advised DC on unemployment policy all the way through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and so it really had a major impact, not just in Kalamazoo, but nationally towards helping others. And the last thing that we wanted to share, I will pass over to Keenan. We did some studying of their family tree, and Keenan better explains this than me, so I will pass this over to him.
So I think it's a good one to end on because it actually does. I think it emphasizes the fact that the Upjohn legacy still continues in Kalamazoo today. Um, his desire to make Kalamazoo better and to grow the community, from the government to the health of Kalamazoo, was something that he was defined by, and I think the generations of his family following him still try to carry that legacy on. So as medical students of WMed, which is Western Michigan University Homer Stryker MD School of Medicine.
Nicely
Lots
done.
of practice on that, speeding through that one. We have two major faces on our university walls. One is Homer Stryker, and the other one is William Upjohn. And the Upjohn family's presence is still in our halls and in the school today, to the point where the building that the school, or the plot of land that the building was built on, was donated by the Upjohn family. With that as background, this is as complicated as it. So I'll start from the top. So William Upjohn had married Rachel Babcock, and they had children together. Rachel unfortunately passed away, and William remarried to somebody named Carrie Gilmore. Okay, so if you're a citizen of Kalamazoo, you should be familiar with the name, the family name Gilmore, because of the Gilmore Center, the Gilmore Car Museum. The Gilmore family presence is in Kalamazoo today, and their beginning was from the largest department store in town. So they had a lot of money because they were the go-to department store. So William Upjohn's family joins Carrie Gilmore's family. She's also remarrying, so she had kids as well. And two of their kids fell in love with each other. One was Donald Gilmore, who was Carrie's son. The other was Genevieve Upjohn. So they fall in love and get married and have a daughter named Martha. Okay, so we're now at the point where Martha is granddaughter to, kind of like step granddaughter to William Upjohn, the OG.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Martha meets a nice man named Ted Parfit, and gets married. So now she's Martha. She's Martha Upjohn Gilmore Parfit, I think.
Yeah.
So they get married, and have 3 kids. I believe it's 3 kids. One of which is named William Parfit, aka Bill, who is a billionaire. He's on the list of American billionaires. And he is one of the leading presences in Kalamazoo as a philanthropist, as someone who contributes to the city's infrastructure and upkeep, and he's just a major contributor to our town. His name is Bill, and then there's another Bill that we won't get into, but they're the 2 Bills, and they have a huge hand in the successes of Kalamazoo. So, and I really do think that it's like part of the reason they're so involved is because they have Upjohn money. But the other reason is probably, hopefully, we haven't talked to them, but that they're trying to carry on the Upjohn legacy of continuing to
Yeah.
improve the city of Kalamazoo, which probably is getting harder and harder as we get into the 21st century and beyond.
It is. And here I just think Keenan deserves some applause for piecing together that family tree, because I know I wouldn't be able to. And we have solved that mystery. All right. And so we'll end there today. Thank you for joining us this time, and wish you all the best.